All right, everyone, it's the tale of two removals from office, potentially. We've got Canada and Israel both rocked by political scandals around the same time. Now, it's also the tale of two kinds of crooks, if I may. You've got Benjamin Netanyahu now being indicted on corruption and I believe money laundering charges in Israel. Of course, he's their leader. He's been rumored for years to have been involved with criminal acts. His wife has too, some of his inner circle. Then you have Justin Trudeau actually getting embroiled in a scandal involving a Montreal-based company that apparently was shielded from being prosecuted for some of its practices, and it looks like Trudeau may have had a hand in that. Big mistake. People are calling for his resignation. He's refusing. They're calling for his ouster. That may or may not happen. Here you've got, though, the tale of two different kinds of political crooks. Justin Trudeau gets enveloped in a scandal. He apparently did a very, very poor job of covering up his ass. Whatever tracks he left behind, he didn't really erase them very well. He gets very quickly swept up in a scandal that now threatens his leadership. With Netanyahu, though, it's totally different. Netanyahu has been alleged to have been involved in similar things like fraud, embezzlement, money laundering, corruption in a general sense for years and years, and yet each time you had proposal, well, maybe we should indict him, maybe we should start a proper investigation. It sort of fell through. Only in this most recent round, after years and years of such rumors, did he get prosecuted. He has been indicted. It is very likely he will be removed from his post. To the benefit or detriment of Israel and its neighbors. It's hard to say, because the problem is Netanyahu is not actually a warmonger in like the kill everyone sense. It's not like a Bolton. What Netanyahu does is political opportunism. He fires a few missiles into Gaza, raids some piece of the West Bank once in a while, just as a show of force, and then when things get exacerbated, he goes to the people of Israel and says, well, vote for me, I'm the only one who can stop this. Look, here's footage of these people throwing rocks and firing mortars and stuff. In order to keep you safe, you have to vote for me. I'm the only one who knows how to keep Israel safe. I have no doubt that anyone else in his position would do the same thing. It's a convenient sort of situation. When you have that sort of perpetual paranoia and war footing, it makes a very good political platform, and so that's what he hammers away at, that and nothing else. So people ignore the high taxes. People ignore the rising cost of living. People ignore the fact that they're not really safe, and the idea of only democracy in the Middle East and bullshit like that is just total propaganda. It's very funny to see. Whereas Trudeau, he gets in there and he's this gentle, kind, centristic sort of neoliberal. He's got the squeaky clean hobbit face. He looks like, Fidel Castro's offspring or something, but he gets in there and he does here, I'm going to plank, I'm going to take off my shirt, I'm going to do some boxing and get punched once in the jaw and go fucking straight down, which is funny. He tries to be a big boy and he gets upstaged by everyone he interacts with. He's part of the cult of personality. Now, this ties into something I said a couple days ago on video, which is when you're analyzing politics, the strength or weakness of a candidate, one of the first things is the charisma, appearance, the elocution, how they handle themselves speech-wise, poise-wise, the gestures they use. Trudeau's really good at that. The problem is everything after that is vacuous. What was the second part of that video I mentioned? Scandal. That's the other part. Some major scandal can take a person who's otherwise very, very good at schmoozing and public image, and they're very good. They kiss the babies and stuff like that, and hug the little old ladies and help them cross the street. They do everything right as far as the image goes, but then they get wrapped up in a scandal that tarnishes that one-dimensionality, that shields the fact that they don't actually have any good proposals. They get into office not based on a platform, not based on their expertise, but based on how they look and how they act. That's Justin Trudeau to a fucking T. Actually, to a fucking U in his case. He's an empty suit, in other words. And so I wouldn't be surprised if he, gets forced out or ends up being forced to resign by his own party as pressure mounts. With Netanyahu, it's less cut and dry, because even though the charges on him are more expansive, and even though he's actually been indicted in the criminal sense, despite that, he is more like a Bill Clinton. He is very, very good at sort of shystering his way around responsibility, let's put it that way. He's a part of this sort of crime family, of sorts. Learned from the best, sort of the post-Soviet remnant. more like a Putin maybe than a Trudeau. And so I wouldn't be surprised if he actually gets away with the scandals that he's enraptured in, especially when he can again come out to the Israeli people and say, well, if you remove me, then Iran will attack and destroy you all, and there'll be mushroom clouds, they'll get nukes and stuff. Those nukes I've been warning of since literally the fucking 1990s, saying that they were 6 months or a year out of development, and it never actually ended up happening. That's Netanyahu's MO. So what happens to Trudeau? Probably just doesn't get reelected, ends up a lame duck, does nothing. His party may look at that and say, look, you can't lead us anymore. We're going to be dead in the water, so you need to leave. Here's your golden parachute or something. With Netanyahu, it's a 50-50 odds whether the charges stick. It could be that the people that are alleging things just wind up with a knife in their back, or the next time there's a rocket fired from Gaza, it miraculously hit the house of one of his accusers. I wouldn't be even slightly surprised with Netanyahu. He's definitely a crook. You talk to people in Israel, not all on board with him. In some cases, it boils down to, yeah, but I mean, who else are we going to vote for? They'll open up the floodgates to Iran, and we'll stop being a Jewish nation and stuff. It'll be more like a Trudeau, policy-wise. And that's the funny part, is it's literally the flip side. Like, Netanyahu goes hardline nationalistic in that sense. Trudeau, meanwhile, is the total opposite. He's like, well, we need more immigrants from more places, more diversity for, diversity's sake, more welfare, more big spending, and by the way, that evil Trump there, yeah, we'll sign the USMCA. He bows down on the USMCA, basically gives up the ghost with regards to negotiating only within a few weeks or months, and signs it off, no problem. Everything's peachy. But then again, at the same time, he's like, at first he tried to sort of be the big boy, and it was very, very funny. He tried to do the strong handshake, look you in the eye thing with Trump. It totally fucking failed. It was funny because then Trump goes down to Mexico in the wake of their election, gets along with Prieto. I think Prieto's his name or something. They seem to get along famously, like they're on board with everything. It's like, relations with Mexico are great. It's our northern neighbor that's the problem now. It's always really funny. So we could see the removal of several significant world leaders. Israel is a powder keg waiting to explode on the best of days. Canada, a fairly large developed economy, it happens to share a huge border with the U.S., so it affects us directly. Any hint of this kind of systemic scandal in a large economy can bring world markets down too, because it injects uncertainty into those markets. Investors don't like uncertainty. They like a fairly reasonable assurance that things will go well for a given period of time. If you say, well, Canada's economy might falter right now because Trudeau might be out, or Israel might have, instability, the Middle East could get, all sorts of raw and puffy over this and get inflamed, it'd be a big problem, really, for the world economy. That's about all. Peace out.